not intended to be against other peoples. It was peaceful, and the cruel conditions led to 8,000 persons to being arrested and 1,722 being wounded. But we can't change history. Today, participants of the Congress were in the central square. Many thousands of people. The president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, was there, gave a speech. He gave a speech rehabilitating the victims of those persons who suffered after the events of '86, and he declared a day of national rejuvenation. Today, Mikhail Gorbachev met in the Kremlin with a group of participants of the international conference entitled The Anatomy of Hate. Explaining his position on the events taking place in the country, Mr. Gorbachev said this would lead to increasing difficulties. He wanted to maintain the union, but he said, as a president, I cannot go against the opposition of the Supreme Soviets in the republics, so I have to try to work with these decisions. We have to reject our political ambitions, otherwise the democratic structures which we have created over the last 6 years will be destroyed. Today is the day appropriate to remember a little bit about Russian history. In 1725, just 1 year after Peter the Great issued his decree, the Russian Academy was founded. After the revolution, it was cancelled, but today it was reestablished. Its members of the Russian Academy, not the Soviet Academy, the Russian Academy, are scientists and scholars who were elected to the Russian Academy of Sciences. Boris Yeltsin assured the participants that over the first 6 or 8 months of the next year, there would be a very difficult period, but this government of Russia would not refuse to finance science and scholarship. Our state has received its national science and scholarship, which is to be utilized for the benefit of the people. This is a period of great transformation, a period where we all have to get together and work harder. Otherwise, no one will come out a winner. I am convinced that this crucial question should be solved by us unanimously. We have just learned by telephone that of the 7 pretendants to the presidentship of the Academy of Sciences, that Mr. Velikhov, Mr. Osipov were the leading 2, and Mr. Osipov, who was a director of the Academy of the Mathematics Institute and was very active in organizing the Russian Academy of Sciences. He has won over Mr. Velikhov. Mr. Osipov won. Today we will show you after the news an interview with Stanislav Shatalin, the economist. We have a lot of questions, and Mr. Shatalin will try to answer these questions. The All-Union Conference of Veterans of Labor and of the Armed Forces, that is the organization we're showing you now. We have few causes for good mood lately, but what we hear at this conference really makes us depressed, although it's hard to frighten veterans. They've had a hard life. They didn't have a good life before the life, then the war itself came, and even if people came home, many of them came home cripples, but nevertheless we did win. We were victors. We grew children, we worked, we waited, and in this period of waiting, we got old. So what do we do now? How can an elderly person live? How can he survive? What will he end up with if he has a 100-ruble pension and a kilogram of potatoes costs 10 rubles? So we have the sheer problem of survival. That is the problem which is being discussed here at the Congress. That is the sad state of veterans. The veterans organizations need organizations. We met with Stapalin, who is an important figure in this regard. This is an organization of veterans, is a grassroots organization, and on a functional basis it is more occupied with coordinating activities, getting things together. Veterans have, as their chief task, a social net which would take care of the poorest layers of the population. We have a new jurisdiction for a number of stores. 101 stores had been formerly directed by a superstructure of bureaucrats, which has now become senseless. The Vice President of Russia, Mr. Rudskoy, has set out today with a working visit to Iran and Afghanistan. After intensive meetings in Moscow, the indefatigable Mr. Baker, James Baker, is going to the Central Asian republics to study the situation after the formation of the Commonwealth. After the Moscow talks, he was able to better understand the situation. The program of Secretary of State Baker is very intensive. Here he has come to Kyrgyzstan, where he met with Askar Akayev after a 3-hour flight. Mr. Akayev already met with Bush in the United States. They discussed problems of democracy and the possibility of support in preparation of personnel and with establishing contacts with businessmen. Such contacts already exist, incidentally. Baker also has plans such as this for Belarus, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan. With a small interview today, there arrived in Sheremetyevo Airport Soviet and American transportation planes delivering medications worth $10 million. This is all for children's hospitals. So this is an air bridge which over 8 months will carry out humanitarian assistance, which under the code name Russian Winter. The American Association has responded to the call of Mr. Shevardnadze to help us during the difficult Russian winter. Here they're unloading the Soviet plane AN-124. This is an American doctor, Roger McCauley. He said, I'm convinced that the medications will be delivered properly, and they are going to be delivered to the 3rd Children's Polyclinic in Moscow, and tomorrow it will be sent to Belarus, Kharkov, and to the city of Vladimir. The Soviet Fund for Charity has turned to our viewers on the eve of the holidays with a call to help people who find themselves in a difficult situation and live below the poverty level. They're having a very difficult situation. Those who respond to this Christmas call should respond and help their neighbors. Mr. Gorbachev met with Frederick Novotny from West German television, who has organized humanitarian aid to the Soviet Union. They discussed organizing of assistance to the Soviet Union to ensure that it would end up in the hands of people who are truly in need. They also touch upon the question of the fate of Erich Honecker. Mr. Gorbachev said that this question should not be discussed for at least a couple of days, and it would be resolved in the very near future. A group of leading Western banks have rescheduled the Soviet Union's foreign debt. That's pleasant to hear. That was on Tuesday in the evening as a special committee chaired by a banker in Frankfurt on the Main. This has to do with debt incurred by the Soviet Union as of the 1st of January and to be paid off by the 31st of March of '92. This is the 40th Congress of the Socialist Bulgarian Party, formerly the Communist Party. The 32-year-old Jean Veden has become the chairman of the Bulgarian Socialist Party, formerly the Communist Party. Today in Bucharest, the president of the country, Iliescu, met the minister of Armenia, Avenisyan. Romania was the first Western country to recognize Armenia. There will be diplomatic relations between the two states. Although the past year was a very difficult year for Cuba, the really hard things are still ahead, according to Fidel Castro, who said that the relationship between oil prices and sugar prices was out of whack. For almost 2 weeks, there's been a governmental crisis in Poland. The attempt of Jan Olszewski, a lawyer there, to form a government has been, this attempt has been unsuccessful. The reasons are the following. Olszewski wanted to name all his old buddies to the government. He did not try to depend on a parliamentary majority, but instead tried to work on the basis of a righteous coalition, and he underestimated the